Hi guys, I hope you guys are still doing good. So I'll be carrying on with question 13 from your test, question 13 to question 16. So now just starting with question 13. Um, there was, I think the most common error in this question was that you guys didn't actually notice or didn't trust the options that were given to you guys here. So the scenario is just this part. This was literally the scenario, and then these were the questions, quotes, if I can say questions, um, and then these were the solutions that you needed to match to the question. And I think a few of you didn't actually bother to read all of this. Please make sure you don't do that. Please read your question. And then a few of you just thought that these were given as a trick. I don't know why. But these are your options. 5 questions, 5 answers. And you just needed to match everything though as you saw was fit. So this little scenario here basically is introducing the question to you. They're basically telling you that a firm can be labor intensive or capital intensive, and this will be based on the labor and capital costs that the firm is faced with. So under specific circumstances of labor costs. So, for example, high labor costs, the firm will be capital intensive, so on and so forth. And then basically, you need to apply the logic that I just explained now to the answers over here. Right. So, I think also it's a bit tricky or a bit challenging to understand what the statement over here means. But I'll just explain with one of them, and then you need to like apply that logic to the other questions here. So this says a labor intensive biased labor cost change. So I like reading the last bit first. So you have a labor cost change that made the firm labor intensive. So from your knowledge of economics, what type of labor cost change will make the firm labor intensive? A decrease in the cost of labor. And then a capital intensive bias labor cost change. So an increase in the cost of labor will then cause the firm to become more capital intensive. A capital intensive bias capital cost change. Now, similar logic to the first one that I explained, but now you're looking at capital. So a change in capital cost made the firm more capital intensive. A decrease in the cost of capital will make the firm use more capital in its productions. And then a labor intensive bias capital cost change. And this is an increase in the cost of capital. So if capital becomes more expensive, then the firm will use more labor in its production. And then a capital intensive and labor cost change. So in a scenario like this, had you guys actually, if you didn't understand how to get this, had you guys actually, used the option that you were given to you, then by process of elimination, this one would be the final answer. But for me, in a case like this, I often use this capital intensive and labor cost change. I know that it looks different from the other one. So in this case, I know that both factors will be changing, right? So an increase in the cost of capital combined with a decrease, an increase in the cost of labor combined with a decrease in the cost of capital will be the answer for the capital intensive and labor cost change one. And then question 14. Now, because question 14 is a true or false or incorrect or correct type question, I think it's going to be pretty redundant for me to go through each and every single one of them and explain, because obviously there's underlying theory in each of these. So had you studied your graphs here properly, then you would understand why it is and isn't correct. So basically, if you got things wrong here, it means that you need to. So I'm going to leave the options here, so you can just see them. But I'll just be telling you guys how to approach this in case some of you are not familiar with this. Also, some of you left it blank. I'm not sure if it's because of time or whatever, but if you didn't know what was going on, guys, literally, you can write correct the whole way, you are gonna get 4. Write incorrect the whole way, you're gonna get 6. It's better that than to like keep it blank if you just didn't guess because you didn't know. And then also okay, so what was I saying? I was going to say to you guys that when you're dealing with questions like this, you need to make sure that you understand your theory properly and that you read the question properly. Don't just scan the question and say, okay, marginal revenue product, marginal fixed cost, nominal profit. No, you read it clearly so that you can understand where the catch is. Okay. And so obviously if you got it wrong, that means that the other one was the answer. I don't think there's much to it outside of like making sure that you read your theory. So the answers are here and you can like check to see and obviously then go through your theory properly. And then question 15. Question 15 was a bit of a tricky one. I'm not sure if you guys were just a bit overwhelmed by this or what. But there was quite a few mathematical errors here and there. So I'll be like going through everything. Like obviously I have to go to the calculation, but basically what the scenario is telling you is that you have capital on your vertical axis, labor on your horizontal axis. So this is for you to draw a graph if you're a person that likes drawing graph to calculate these type of things. The production budget is 4,000. The maximum number of labor units you can purchase is 20. So this means that the intercept on your horizontal axis would be 20. And then the marginal rate of technical substitution is 10, which is your slope of your curve. So so now to calculate the each of the different things that they want here. So first of all, I'm just going to explain how to use the information given to answer the question. So the first thing is that your production budget is equals to the price of labor multiplied by number of labor, basically labor units. Price of capital multiplied by the number of capital units that you are using. And for example, in the case of the maximum affordable units of labor is 20, this means that you're purchasing 20 units. So this here would be 20, and then this here would be 0. And then that will still all equals to 4,000. So in order to calculate your, your price of labor, you will use the formula that I just wrote right down. That I just wrote down here. Okay, let me just say B equals to price of labor, which is wage, multiplied by 20 plus 0 multiplied by rent, which is the price of capital. So we all know that that's going to be 0 on that other side, and your budget was given to you as 4,000. So it's equals to 20 multiplied by 4,000, right? And then you just divide by 20 to get the price of labor, which is your wage. 4,000 divided by 20, and that will give you the answer, which is 200. And then the maximum affordable units of capital. So I'm going to use the marginal rate of transformation to try get the maximum affordable units of capital. Or you can actually also, you can just, let me just rather focus on this here. So in order to get that, the marginal rate of technical substitution is equals to, that's 10 is equals to 200. So So what I started by doing is that I started by using the marginal rate of transform technical substitution formula, and I substituted the value for MRC as the price of labor that we just calculated, and R, which is what not what we're looking for, but will be used in order for us to get what we're looking for. And I got R to be 20, and then using the same logic as over here with us maxing out our budget on capital. Budget is equals to 0 plus 20 times and that should give you 200. NC, I meant NC here. So now I used the value for rent or capital that I just calculated now, and then I substituted that into this part of the formula here. And because we're now maxing out our budget on capital, the labor was equals to 0. And then I basically repeated what I did here, and I found that the maximum number of capital is 200. And then the next one, they tell you that what is going to be the marginal rate of technical substitution if the production budget increases by 50%. Now, looking at the formula for marginal rates of technical substitution, production budget has absolutely no impact on this over here. So regardless of what your production budget is, the marginal rate of the marginal rate of technical substitution remains the same. And now, so you will still have 10. And then next, if the marginal rate if the price of capital increases by 10%. So first we need to calculate the 10% increase in price of capital. So in order to calculate that 100% increase in the price of capital, I'm going to say 20, which we calculated here as the price of capital, plus that's 100% increase. 100% increase in the price of capital, and that is going to give you 40, right? And then you just substitute the new price of capital into the formula, and that will be as follows: 200 divided by 40, which is the new price that you just calculated, and that will give you 5. And then moving on to question 16 now. Again, this is another one of those theory questions. It's either you had it or you didn't have it. So obviously if you got that one wrong, then the other one is the answer. But okay, just to read through it and explain some of the parts where I'm like, okay, this could have been an easy mark even if you didn't understand. So okay, so if the diseconomies of scale is experienced, then the long run average cost curve will increase at an increasing rate. Because just think about it, with your economies of scale, your costs are increasing at a decreasing rate. So the opposite of that is a diseconomies of scale. So therefore the long run average cost curve will experience the opposite of that. And then the pecuniary economies of scale will result in a decreasing long run average cost curve. So these Pecuniary economies of scales are basically a type of economies of scale that will come with bulk buying, but the logic still remains the same. Where you have economies of scale, your long run average cost curve will be increasing at wait, no, sorry. With the pecuniary economies of scale, you have a decreasing long run average cost curve. And then an infinite elasticity of substitution is a clear indication of a perfect substitution between capital and labor. And with this, I think this one is pretty, even if you don't understand what infinite elasticity of substitution is, you know that capital and labor are substitutes. So it will always be that way. And then in this case, the isoquant will be straight lines. And if inputs are used in a fixed proportion, the elasticity of substitution will be 0. And again, with things like this, you just need to brush up on your theory and understanding. Like, you need to go through your theory properly. There's no shortcuts to answering the questions that are here. And just general things on your test, because with my marking I experienced things like you guys were sort of freestyling with your numbering. Like, please make sure that if the question is 1 2 3, you answer 1 2 3, and please make sure that you're answering number one where number one is, because I mean, up to a certain point it was like unignorable that you guys had messed up your answering and whatever. So just please, for your next test, make sure that you are numbering your answers correctly, and please make sure that even if, just rather follow, for example, one of the questions above had said strategy X and strategy Y, and you guys had said strategy A and strategy B. So make sure that you always follow the one that is in the scenario. So even if the table had something different, answer according to the X and Y in the scenario, not the A and B on your table. So just always make sure you're answering according to your scenario, and make sure that you're following your instructions and you're numbering correctly. And yeah, also, if you feel like you don't know something, please guess. Don't leave, especially here, because it's either or. Even if you're wrong, it's fine. But like, at least you took a guess. Okay, but that's it for this video. Thank you guys. Bye.